Hey, Sid.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Renaissance Podcast. I'm still pregnant.
Still pregnant, but by the time this comes out, hopefully you're not.
I know, but I think we said that in the last episode, and then I think everyone's like, has she had the damn baby yet?
Yeah, I know that's how you're feeling.
That's how I'm
I
feeling.
think that's how all of us in
Love
the office
the baby.
are feeling.
I don't mean to say damn baby. I just mean to say, can we move forward? Can we progress?
When you're older, Sawyer, and if you just happen to listen to this podcast, you're still in the womb, and it's been very annoying.
It's been what feels like 20 months instead of 9. Okay, well, on the note of pregnancy, we thought it'd be appropriate to have the founder of a whiskey brand on the podcast.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, it was such a cool episode that we're bringing to you guys today. Paige Parker is the founder of Happenstance Whiskey, which is Nashville's female-founded whiskey brand that really is a new brand. It's only been around. I think she's been doing this almost 2 years, and she's gaining so much momentum, so much traction. So many bars in Nashville are carrying this incredible product that we talk about how I stumbled upon it, and she was so surprised, but I saw it through a Facebook ad, and come to find out that you'll hear in the episode, she was the one that ran the ad, and I told her I couldn't believe that it was the founder of the company that was running the ad because it was so professionally done to the point where I think I sent it to Walker and I was like, we got to figure out what agency is representing Happenstance.
Yeah.
And there's no agency.
And she had only ran the ad for like a day or two, and she was like, this is a failure. No one's going to see this shit. And lo and behold, Sydney did. And that's the power of brand awareness.
That's the power of even, of course, we never suggest people to just boost posts and spend money on ads. But if you know a little bit of what you're doing, Instagram makes it to where you can have a successful experience with their advertising platform without being a professional. And many entrepreneurs do. And, that's kind of something Walker and I were talking about this morning is like, you maybe don't need to hire an agency right off the bat when you're just innovating a new product. Not everyone has the capital to do so, but...
And if you do, you should probably use that capital in other areas, honestly.
And that's so funny that we're saying that because it's like, our service. But from what we found, the most successful businesses are the ones that take a year or two to just figure out every area of the business on their own before they spend the thousands of dollars in agency fees and in advertising fees that it takes. You got to learn your business. You got to learn the ins and outs of it. And I think the businesses that I'm most impressed by are the ones that have done that. And so with that said, Paige Parker has done that with Happenstance Whiskey. She is running the show. She's got a very small, lean team right now, but she's got huge dreams. She comes from Anheuser-Busch. She had a career out in Colorado, I believe.
Or was it California?
She's from California, but I think that she was working Colorado. Okay, we could be completely wrong with that. But the main important detail is she was at Anheuser-Busch working in marketing, and she kind of through that incredible career learned about a white space in this industry and in the alcohol industry. And she was like, I'm going to take everything that I've learned and put it towards basically founding my own whiskey brand. And so she went to Vanderbilt, which we love, in their business school, got her MBA, and created this incredible brand.
Yeah.
Which Walker gets to taste in this episode.
Yeah, it's very, very good. She's done such a great job of branding this business, and we talk a lot about that. And once you look up her Instagram or look up Happenstance's Instagram, you notice that she comes from a creative and marketing background because it's all very well thought out and very well put together. But that also ties into the flavor, which is really unique to have something branded towards the flavor, which is like smooth, chill, cool. It's a weird thing to describe, but it's very unique and a tasty, tasty whiskey.
You love to sip on it. I think it can be enjoyed neat, which is why she made it that way. She wanted a brand of whiskey that didn't deter you and make you kind of have that face, like I say in the episode, it smells like, it tastes like what a Sharpie marker smells like.
Right.
And you guys were like, oh, that's such a good way. And I'm like, that's how I describe most whiskeys.
Yeah.
And this, when you smell it, and based on what Walker told me, it's smooth. It goes down easy. She wants it to be for the whiskey connoisseur, but also for someone who's maybe a little intimidated about
Yeah, and you're
whiskey.
just like looking to get into the game and not really be worried or, just feel like a bourbon snob without being a bourbon snob kind of thing, which is cool.
So without further ado, we're excited to welcome Paige Parker, founder of Happenstance Whiskey, to the Renaissance Podcast. Enjoy. Welcome to the Renaissance Podcast, a podcast for Renaissance women
and men
who want to create a modern-day renaissance in their life and business.
We interview some of the most successful entrepreneurs and share their unique stories.
Are you ready to create your renaissance?
Welcome back to the Renaissance Podcast.
Welcome back. We're so excited to be in studio today with the lovely Paige Parker, the founder of Happenstance Whiskey. Hi.
Hello. Thank you guys for having me. This is so fun.
I'm so excited you're here.
Very excited. We have a very special episode because we're kicking it off different. We're going to drink some whiskey.
Heck yeah. Let's open it
We're
up.
going to do a little tasting.
Give it a go.
I'm just going to put a straw in it and just drink it.
Drink the
just
whole
kidding.
thing.
I would literally get canceled. I'm 9 months pregnant and I'm so jealous.
How much
and I'm
do you
not.
need for a tasting? Like, is that probably good?
I mean, depends how rowdy you're trying to get today.
It's a Monday. We'll
start off slow.
Start off slow.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Cool.
Is that like a normal pour? Like, is that for whiskey? I don't even know. I don't know anything.
Yeah, usually like 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's
So that's probably I don't even know, half ounce. I don't know. Math.
so they're
I
about
was
to...
just finished telling you that math was not my strong suit.
Okay, so she smelled it. So is there a way you're supposed to?
Yeah, so you want to start out, I mean, you kind of taste it like a wine, to be quite honest. Like
Okay.
you smell it, you sip
I can
it.
smell it, and it maybe go through like some of the notes and stuff that makes Happenstance different from everything else, because it definitely has like a lot of aroma to it than what I'm used to smelling.
Yeah, so when you're tasting a whiskey, I like to equate it, for those who are new to the category, kind of like drinking a wine.
Right.
So you'll smell it, kind of get the flavor profile and the notes from the nose, and then you'll taste it, get the notes from the palate. But I blended Happenstance to be, when we were doing the formulation, more like a Cabernet style whiskey. So a lot of bourbons or whiskeys tend to have a lot of spice to them or have a kick to them. I kind of equate them more to a Zinfandel flavor profile. But this is meant to be more of the Cabernet style of bourbon. A little bit more full-bodied, sweet, well-rounded. Nothing's added to it, so there's no artificial flavors or ingredients or anything like that in Happenstance. It is, it's all from the barrel, all
Right.
the flavor profile.
Wow.
So nothing added to it. And so, yeah, it's supposed to be sweet naturally. So
do they add in a lot of other whiskeys out there?
So
They add flavors to it?
a lot do. A lot do.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's very smooth.
Thank you.
Very smooth.
So I guess we should go over the notes. So on the nose, you're going to have a little bit of honey, a little bit of caramel, a little bit of that smokiness from the barrel. And then on the flavor profile,
I feel bad for Sydney.
Sorry,
I'm
Sydney.
literally drooling over here. It's okay. 2 more weeks.
But we're getting close.
It's all good.
But yeah, the flavor profile, it's going to be vanilla, hazelnut, toffee, caramel notes, full-bodied, smooth, and then a little bit of rye finish on the back end.
So did you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds kind of like when you describe it and the way Walker's reacting to it, like almost like you created it for like a woman's palate or someone that maybe doesn't really think that they like whiskey, bourbon.
Yeah, honestly,
supposed to
that's kind of a good way to put it.
It just sounds like the way she's describing it, it sounds like something I would really want to drink. I mean, it smells like how he's describing it tastes.
It's
obviously
very smooth. I was just making a joke.
I'm kind of like a listener right now who's listening going, I've never tried it maybe, and I don't know. So I'm just trying to like getting into it. But it's female founded. I know you weren't just making it for women, but it sounds like this could appeal to the gal like me who's more of a wine drinker, kind of like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think when I was approaching the whiskey category, I said, what's missing here? Like, why? I drink whiskey, but I feel intimidated to drink whiskey. And I think a lot of people felt like I did, where they, felt like it was unapproachable. And when you go to a bar, what brand do I order?
Right.
Are you going to order the 20-year-old bourbon? Is that intimidating to order? Are you going to what do you order, right?
Yeah.
What do you order?
So I felt like there was an opportunity kind of in flavor profile and branding and lifestyle and positioning this brand as something saying, hey, you don't have to have a bourbon collection to drink whiskey. That's not something that it's a spirit at the end of the day. It's a
Yeah.
cocktail, it's a drink. It's supposed to be experiential and enjoyable and enjoyed together. And I felt like that was an experience a lot of people were missing out on because it was such an intimidating category.
That's
So
cool.
Wow.
I like that. I mean, that is definitely like a thing. It's like a club. It's like, oh, I'll take an old fashioned, whatever. Everyone's always like, are you a bourbon? You like good bourbon? And it's like, I just like the cocktail. It's good. I don't know anything about it, but I do like a good old fashioned,
There's
Yeah.
such an intimidation factor in drinking and in drinking a dark liquor.
Yeah.
For women, I guess I'm mostly
Yeah, it's like a
speaking for
boys'
women.
club almost.
It's like you feel like you're gonna order it and hate it. You feel like you're gonna order it and go, and it's like the idea of an old fashioned sounds awesome, but it feels like anytime I've had a sip of my husband, I'm just like, oh, it's too strong or it's too whatever. I don't know. It hasn't felt smooth to me, but it seems like with this, it's more approachable.
Absolutely. And that's not to say that, I mean, this is still an aged product. It sat in the barrel for several years. It's 90 proof. It still has that bourbon punch to it. So that's not to say if you have a bourbon collection, you're not going to like it.
Right.
It's meant to be for the person that has a bourbon collection, that collects bottles, and or someone who's new to the category that just knows they like bourbon or an old fashioned or whatever, but doesn't know what brand they want to order.
Right.
So it's really meant to cater to the whole spectrum of the whiskey drinker, not just the super niche,
collector type. But it also is the branding is just iconic. That's what first really attracted me to the brand. I just think it's not overly feminine, it's not overly masculine, it's really like right in the middle and just kind of has that iconic look to it, which I'm just like, kudos to you, and you designed it, right?
Thank you. Yeah, I worked with an agency out of San Francisco to kind of come up with the graphics, but really the whole inspiration and everything from conception and idea to branding and execution was all me. That's something that I love to do, and that's what my background is in marketing and branding, and I felt like that was my strength, and I was going to bring that to this company first and foremost. So
okay, so we need to go back. Let's start, because I want to talk about Anheuser-Busch. I want to talk about your marketing background and everything you did prior to launching this company. But I'd love to start with, where did you grow up? Where are you from? And what brought you to Nashville?
Yeah, so I'm from California. So I'm not from the South. I'm not a Nashville native. Funny, when I moved here, I thought I was going to be one of the only ones. And I feel like every other person here is from California these days.
Right. Yeah, so true. Especially now.
The whole California movement.
So I'm not unique by any means. But yeah, I grew up in California. And
what part?
Los Angeles.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're really from California.
Yes, I'm really from California.
Wow.
I know. When you find someone from Nashville, I feel like they call it a unicorn. It's almost the same in LA when you meet someone from LA.
Oh.
Also a unicorn.
So what was it like growing up in LA?
It was great. I grew up in kind of a pocket suburb of LA. Really family oriented, community oriented. It was really amazing.
When did you move here?
So I've been in Nashville for 2 years.
Okay.
So I came here for business school at Vanderbilt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that
amazing.
And it was
Crazy.
right in the smack of the pandemic. So I'm technically a COVID transplant.
Nice.
So was that your MBA?
Yes, MBA.
Did you? Is that over? Did you get it?
Yes. So I just graduated a month ago. In
Wow!
May.
Congratulations.
That's
you.
so awesome.
And you've launched this
Yeah.
since.
So I launched this while at business school.
While you were in school.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's been a journey. So we've been on the market with Happenstance for a year. Just graduated Vanderbilt last month. And now we're rocking and rolling full time on Happenstance.
That's incredible.
So
How cool. Okay, so take us back to what you were doing though before business school.
yeah. So I was living in California, and when I was living there, I was working for Anheuser-Busch, Budweiser for people that don't know.
Yeah.
And they really have such an array of brands and different products in their portfolio. So I was working in marketing for them in Southern California, and I really there learned the ins and outs of the industry, the alcohol industry, and what it's like to, see new brands come to market and to revive a brand that needs a refresh, or any branding project, you name it, they've probably done it.
Right.
So I got to learn from the ground up what it's like to start and work in alcohol. So was there for a bit, and once I left that company, was looking for a change and looking for something new and wanted to stay in the alcohol business. I felt like alcohol really touches every segment of every industry. It touches so many people's lives in so many ways, whether it's through a sporting event or through hosting a party at your house or through a wedding or through so many different occasions in life. Usually, you know, there's a bar involved.
Totally.
And so I felt like it was a really fun industry to kind of just interact with all these different people and events and occasions. And so that was really why I wanted to stay in the business, is to, you know, working in marketing. That's the dream, is to do all these different types of things. And being in Nashville and being in whiskey, you know, we have the music industry here, which I know is near and dear to your heart.
Totally.
So that's been so fun too, to kind of get involved in that arena and support some local artists, and especially female artists.
Oh yeah.
So that's been wonderful. So I'm really thankful to be in this industry, as challenging and competitive as it is.
Well,
it's really been a blessing.
I mean, that's just insane. I feel like, to leave corporate and then break into the whiskey world. Like, how crazy was that transition, and how competitive is it really? Like, what is that kind of
The
like?
most competitive. But I always say ignorance is bliss. I mean, I think if I would have known what I was getting myself into, I don't think I would have done it.
Right,
So
yeah.
I'm thankful I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm thankful I didn't know what I know now. But, you know, there's been so much growth and learning opportunities along the way. And so, yeah, I'm thankful and grateful for where we've ended up,
That's
despite
great.
the challenges.
So when you were at Vanderbilt, I mean, did you, move here thinking I'm going to start a whiskey brand, or were you at Vanderbilt and going, did it hit you? I want to know the moment.
So the moment was during COVID. So I was actually working on this idea, and the label was already almost done. The product was pretty much ready to go. It just needed to be packaged and bottled and whatnot. And then COVID hit. And being in tangential to the hospitality industry, I mean, having bars and restaurants and liquor stores as your key buyers, having that be closed and shut down was the worst time ever to try and launch a new alcoholic product into the market, and especially one that you can't really go direct to consumer.
Right.
So I couldn't launch the online store or live in this virtual world like so many other brands could, and so many other industries could. So that was kind of where the shift to Vanderbilt came. I got accepted to business school, said, you know what, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to move to Nashville. We're going to, you know, move my whole life out of California and move to Nashville and kind of make that home base for this company and this brand. And just said yes to the opportunity and to life. So,
And it was just you that moved, right?
yeah, just me.
Wow.
Just me.
I love that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Cross country.
And
your
I didn't
whole
know
family.
anyone.
Yeah, you didn't know
Yeah,
anyone.
didn't know
To
anyone.
get into the most competitive industry.
Yes, right. Like I said, ignorance is bliss. I had no
Yes.
idea.
Well, that's like-
totally in over my head, but in a good way.
I feel like that's entrepreneurship. You know, everyone is always like, it sounds so great on paper. Like, oh, I get to work for myself. I can control my own hours. And then, like, you get into the thick of it and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you can control your own hours, but they're 24/7 hours.
Yeah, so you're just always working.
Yeah,
Like
it's
a
not.
Saturday isn't a Saturday.
It's not a 9 to 5. I
But
think
you'd
my
also-
most productive hours are in the evening usually,
Right.
when everyone's home and watching
Yeah.
Netflix. I'm in
Working.
my inbox working.
Right.
It's funny.
So tell us, I mean, I am curious on the marketing side. What kind of marketing were you doing at Anheuser-Busch, just to kind of see what your background is like specifically?
Yeah, so I was working with a local distributor in Southern California. So we would do mostly regional activations and distribution, but also would work a little bit with the brand teams out of New York who, you know, at Budweiser, each brand has its own team.
Wow.
So yes, it's an operation. So when we would work collaboratively with those brand teams to roll out new brand plans or event activations or whatever the brand was working on in our market. So
Wow.
that was kind of my job.
It's a lot of fun. Well, God, that's just so crazy to go from that to this. It's just such a leap. That's so cool. So what is happenstance? What is the coincidence, or how did you get the name? Like, how did it all form?
Yeah, so the name came from, I was driving the car one day listening to the radio, and I could not come up with a name for this. I'm like, I feel like it's on the tip of my tongue, but I don't know what I should call this brand. I just fell into it. I don't really know how I ended up here, but
Right.
here I am working on this whiskey company, and it needs a name. And I was listening to a song on country radio, and Springsteen by Eric Church came on. And there's a line in that song that says, I bumped into you by happenstance.
I love that song so much.
Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about.
Totally do.
So that line, that word stuck out to me,
Yeah.
and I said, this is such happenstance that I fell into this business, that I fell into this moment, that I'm in Nashville, that I'm doing all these different things. So I said, that's perfect. That's
How
what it's going to be.
can we get Eric to endorse?
Yeah.
Are you in touch with him? Because that would be, I feel like he would hear that story and be like, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So cool.
Thank you.
We
Yeah,
need to,
unexpected.
whoever's listening that has the Eric Church connection, like,
We'll pull the sound bite and
I mean,
send
it's
it to
Nashville.
him. He listens.
It's Nashville.
Right?
Everyone knows someone who knows Eric Church. It's just the way it is.
Nashville's small. Everyone knows everyone here.
Totally. So how has Nashville like embraced you and the product and the brand?
With open arms. I've been
Nice.
so grateful for this community. I mean, like I said, I moved here knowing nobody, and now I feel like I have this wonderful community that is really behind the brand and wants to see it succeed. And really, as a brand, we've embraced Nashville right back.
Yeah.
You know, this is our hometown. This is where we bottle and blend here in town. Our production's here.
That's
so
cool.
yeah, so we're really local.
How did you figure all that out? I mean, developing a whiskey, like how do you bottle it? How do you blend it? Obviously don't share any like secret stuff, but I wouldn't even know where to start. It seems like a science in itself.
Yeah, I mean, that was a whole process. It took quite a while to figure it out. I honestly just chipped away at it and, you know, reading articles online, how to start whiskey brand
Wow.
on Google,
Yeah.
you know, because I really didn't know what I was doing. I knew I wanted to do this idea and knew a lot about the industry, but as far as starting a business, that was new
Yeah,
to me.
that's
so,
crazy.
Yeah, so it was really just trial and error and just asking any person I could who worked in the industry or knew someone who worked in the industry and taking so many coffee meetings and picking people's brains and just trying to learn about, okay, who do I talk to? Where do I go? What do I do next? And just putting one foot in front of the other until it eventually, you know, came to fruition in the form of Happenstance
Right.
and a product.
Was it really challenging, like before you actually had something physical to bring into those like coffee meetings you were talking
Yes.
about versus
Everyone
now
thought
that
it was
you
crazy.
put it on the table and they're like, oh shit,
Yeah, you can
she's got
taste
a
it.
brand.
Yeah.
But before, I'm starting this whiskey brand, and then they're like, oh, of course you are, right? Like,
That
was
was
that
exactly it.
yeah.
Yeah. People are like, what are you doing? What are you doing? How are you doing it? Who's backing you? And I'm
Right.
like, myself. But
Myself.
is that
Yeah.
not allowed? And they're like, okay, good luck. So yeah, it's really been a challenge, but we made it. So yeah, now that I have a product, it's a lot easier to come in and say, okay, this is what I was talking about. Try it, experience it.
Yeah.
You
can
it's
sell
an
it.
experiential product. It's not something that, you know, you can see a photo of and be like, oh, I like that, right? You really have to try it and taste it
Yeah.
to know that this is something you enjoy and want to consume over and over again. So yeah, having an actual product made the world of a difference.
It's really good.
Thank you.
I mean, it's really good.
Thank
I love
you.
it. Well, it's a Monday. It's a Monday.
Like, keep going.
Well,
Yeah.
So I want to know, like, would you say the whiskey industry is like a pretty male dominated world? Like, would you say, or would you say that it's been somewhat easy for you to kind of break out into it as a woman, as a young woman?
So I've never seen that. It definitely is very male dominated, but I've always seen that as an opportunity, I think, to do something differently. And so that's kind of why I'm here. I think I noticed that there was such a gap in the whiskey market. All the brands looked the same on the shelf, and
yeah.
it was really hard to distinguish one story of one whiskey brand from the other. I mean, with all due respect to the brands that have become before me, there's some really wonderful products
Yeah.
out there and some really wonderful stories and brands. But I felt like as a whole, relative to other categories within the industry, there was not as much variety. So I felt like that was the opportunity for Happenstance to step in and say, okay, cool. Like, we completely respect all the brands that have come before us, and we think it's wonderful, and the heritage and tradition of this industry is so respectable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we want to do something different. I mean, times have evolved, and there's such a cocktail-driven bourbon demographic now that
Right.
I don't think existed like it did 10 years ago. Bourbon's one of the fastest growing categories. It kind of goes neck and neck with tequila. I mean, I don't know have today's numbers, but
I think that's really interesting.
yeah.
Like, why? What's making that spark? I mean, obviously it's delicious, but like, what's sparking this movement?
Marketing.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have my theories on it, but I don't know for a fact. But I would argue that it's consumers are looking for different experiences, looking to try something new. I mean, you look at the seltzer boom.
Right.
Seltzer's so
Right.
popular, and that
Yeah.
was something that didn't exist
5 years,
5 years ago.
Right. So
Right.
new.
Yeah, so new, and now it's
Every brand has a seltzer.
and now it's its own category in its entirety, and there's so many seltzer brands, right? So I think consumers are just looking for experiences that are different, and craft is really popular. Premiumization of categories is popular. So I think that's really why you're seeing such a growth in bourbon. Is it's a different experience that people want to have.
Okay, this might be a dumb question, but isn't there something about whether it's classified as bourbon and where it comes from and region versus whiskey? Something in Kentucky?
So that's a myth.
Ah.
But I actually get asked
Tell us
that
the myth.
all the
I would
time.
imagine, this might bring some heat, I feel like.
I
don't
like
know.
it though. Let's hear it. Yeah.
Because like bourbon heads are like, no, it's only bourbon if it's in Kentucky.
No.
That's what I know.
No.
I
no,
love it.
That's a myth.
Okay.
Yeah, so I always tell people that all bourbons are whiskeys, but not all whiskeys are bourbons.
Okay.
Okay.
So like
That's interesting.
all Cabernets are wine, to use the wine analogy again, but
Yeah.
not all wines are Cabernet.
Cabernets.
So it's a type of
Yeah.
the category.
Interesting.
So
That's
like,
how I describe it to
Yeah.
people.
Okay. I like that.
So like Jack Daniels, that's out of Tennessee, and so that can't touch the bourbon category, right? Or can it?
So the bourbon category, it's not based on like so it has to be made in the U.S.
Gotta
It
be-
has to
okay.
be at least 51% corn, aged for at least 2 years in a new American oak barrel at 125 proof. So those are kind of
Okay.
the classifications.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah, for
Okay.
bourbon. So it has nothing to do with Kentucky. For some reason, I think it's just because of Bourbon County, Kentucky,
Yeah.
and a lot of bourbon does come out of Kentucky
Yeah.
that it gets misconstrued.
Kind of like claim
But
mistake. for
No,
it,
there's
but-
bourbons from all over the place now. There's bourbons out of New
Right.
York and California,
Right.
and
It's just about how you craft it.
it's about how you craft it.
See, there it is,
Cool.
folks.
You heard it here on
We
the
cracked the
Renaissance
myth.
podcast. Yeah.
All you old bourbon heads can shut up now because you can get it anywhere.
So,
Just depends on how it's crafted.
so I want to talk about your marketing approach. Like what? Because I found you through Instagram. I imagine a lot of your customers find you through Instagram. Your Instagram is gorgeous. Like the aesthetic. I mean, just you guys have to go see it. It's very like Western, but Nashville infused, and just like very community, edgy, fun, doesn't make you feel intimidated when you look at the marketing. Like again, I'm speaking from just someone who drinks Sauvignon Blanc when she's not 9 months pregnant, and your marketing made me want to drink this drink. Like it's approachable, which I think is you, and that is your brand. So what has your marketing approach been to this product? Because I know you said before we started recording that you directed the editorial shoots that you guys that content that you have on your Instagram.
Yeah, so I'm so happy to hear the way you described it, because that is exactly what I was going for.
Nailed it.
You killed it.
nailed it.
Nailed it,
killed it.
sister. Do you need a job?
I have one.
You're like, I'm really
Do
busy,
you
so
want to sell
no.
whiskey?
Yeah, exactly. We could do some kind of thing.
Yeah, we can work out a deal.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but it's that's exactly what I was going for. So I'm happy that you hit the nail on the head. But really, the marketing right now is been to let the product speak for itself, trying to get in front of as many people as possible to taste it. So liquor store tastings, events, and that was a challenge when we first launched. I mean, not all events were back. So it's really been an interesting time to try and get into the bourbon business. But now Nashville's pretty open, and if anyone's been down Broadway, there's not really a 2020 vibe anymore there.
No, not at all. I don't
Yeah.
even know if there ever really was, maybe for 5 minutes. So
Yeah, so really just trying to get as many people to try it right now, and telling our story and hoping people see the opportunity that we did and enjoy the product as much as we love making it. So
are you going to more like business to consumer route, or like who are you kind of targeting? Because I know you're wearing all the hats right now. Like, what does your day-to-day look like when it comes to business development?
yeah, so we have a really great distribution
Company.
that we work with. Yeah, Lippman Brothers
Yeah.
here in Nashville.
Yeah.
So they've been wonderful in helping us get the brand out there. So they really help us facilitate a lot of, in the industry, we call it on and off premise business. So bars and restaurants versus liquor store and venue channels, whatnot. So we have worked with them really closely to roll out the brand and taste as many people in liquor stores and bars and restaurants that make all the buying decisions as possible, to kind of hopes of getting placement on shelves. So
Is it just you right now, or how big is your team currently?
So there's 2 of us right now.
Wow.
So we're really small.
Y'all
We're
are
definitely
killing
thank you, but we're trying. We're hustling out there.
I
But
mean,
we're
2
definitely
people.
a boutique brand. So
Well, you're new. You're a baby brand.
we're
Yeah,
new.
literally.
We're a baby brand.
Goodness
I always tell
gracious.
people, though, don't let how long we've been out on the market fool you about the product. It's not a baby product.
No, you taste that, and that's something that's been on those
Established.
shelf. It's been on the shelf with the competitors. Like, you can tell. That's what it tastes like to me. Like,
Yeah, it's sat in the barrel for 4 years, so
Yeah.
it's definitely an aged product. It has some flavor to it, so it's not. Yeah, don't let the time we've been on Instagram be conflated with the time that we've been making the
no,
product.
y'all know what you're doing, and that's a testament to the flavor, the branding, everything. I mean, just 2 of you guys, but it's like you have been around as long as Jack Daniels. Like, you guys obviously know what you're doing.
Well,
which is
thank you.
really
That's
great.
a huge compliment, so I appreciate that. Thank
That's
you so
cool.
much.
Well, I like it because I feel like you were talking about it earlier. There aren't a lot of like whiskeys out there, bourbons or whatever you want to call it, that are kind of building a brand. It's all kind like there are some good ones out there, but I can't equate really any name with a story, But with Happenstance, I can. And I like that about it. I feel like it is kind of that sense of community, and there's like just something behind it that you kind of enjoy. I even the big names out there, I can't even.
Yeah,
I don't know
what's
the
a
family.
what's
I
a
don't
Four
know.
Roses campaign? Name
Yeah.
one. Like, I don't know any.
I don't know any of them.
Probably not in their targeting region, but I mean, we do have a wine bar client here in Nashville, Vintage Vine 100. I need to connect you to the owner because she's woman-owned, loves bourbon, would love this, needs to carry this. Darlene, gonna be hitting you up after this. But she's very specific with the bourbons and the whiskeys that she carries. But she really gravitates towards the ones with stories, and she really gravitates towards anything with the wines. It's mostly a wine bar because she's a sommelier, and she's all about finding. She loves having women founded or women created wine as well. So that's going to be like a really good marriage. But to pivot this conversation a little bit, I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about funding, if you don't mind. Like, I would love to know, like, is it self-funded? Like, how did you do this? Because I know this is not a cheap industry to break into when you think about everything.
Yeah, back to the ignorance is bliss. I think I thought I could bootstrap this business till the end of time, and I have.
That's amazing.
That's
But it's
really
been
incredible.
very, very tough. I mean, there was, small friends and family in there too.
Yeah.
But, as far as that, like, we're so lean. We are so lean
Wow.
right now. So we've really bootstrapped it as far as possible. And
That's amazing.
it's been a
Paige.
challenge. It's been a lot of work, but
Wow, that's incredible. And do you have plans on are you going to try to just continue bootstrapping as long as you can, or do you have plans on forming a board and going that route?
yeah, we'll see. We're
We'll
kind of
see.
in some talks right now, so we'll
Okay.
see kind of what pans out.
Okay.
Very cool.
Well, do you have a favorite way to drink it? Like, is it like just kind of, is it neat? Like how you're drinking it now? It's just room temp?
So I like drinking it neat because I think Happenstance stands really well on its own.
Mm.
But I also think that it's such a good base for a cocktail.
Yeah.
The flavor profile of Happenstance is so versatile that we have some really great cocktail recipes on our website that are all
Ooh.
mixologist crafted. So we've got a really good version of like a ginger lemon whiskey sour on there, and we've got our not so
Yum.
old fashioned, which is kind of our take on the old fashioned. So as a cocktail, it's really fun. It really can do some cool things, and it blends really well with pretty much everything.
Wow. So we can go on there and find like a summer cocktail to use.
We've got all our summer cocktails up right now. So
Amazing. Oh
there's
my
some good
gosh.
ones on there.
2
Look
weeks.
those up.
2
2
weeks.
weeks.
I will be on your site. It'll be just me. Like, I will just be like all the recipes. I'm so excited to try it. It smells so good. Like,
Yeah.
that's
No, it's tasty.
one thing I can't say about smelling most dark liquors is you smell it and you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's like smelling vodka. I feel like for some of them, not all of them, but I feel like it's like not something that's like you're excited to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So kudos to you for that.
Thank you.
Well, what are you working on now? Like, what is kind of like the current, June 2022, where are you now?
Yeah, so we really want to be in as many bars, restaurants, and liquor stores in the Nashville area as possible. And then we hope to expand later throughout Tennessee throughout the rest of this year. So that's on our radar. And we're kind of working towards just getting the brand known. We really want people to try it and to enjoy it and to experience the brand. And like I said, we have so much fun making it and promoting it and telling the story that we want people to experience that for themselves. So really just kind of trying to grow our reach. And we have some other things in the works, but they're not out yet. So we'll circle back to be continued.
Okay.
What kind of like legal? I mean, what's it like? How many lawyers do you got to deal with to get a whiskey made? Or
I mean, we could do a whole episode on
legalities.
I'm so curious about that because it just seems
side
like
of the business.
Such a pain in the ass.
It's a very regulated industry,
Yeah.
and there's a lot you can do and you can't do, and yeah, it's a tough one.
Okay.
It's a tough one.
We'll save that for the next conversation.
Yeah.
I just imagine it's such a pain.
But I just think it's so cool that you are one of two people on this team, and you didn't always probably have that second person, and you are doing everything. I mean, you're figuring out the distribution, you're figuring you did the design, you're figuring out, how to market it, how to brand it, and how to tell the story, like which pockets to, peek into. Do you have like a favorite? I feel like I know the answer to this question, but like a favorite part of what you're doing right now, like the part that you look forward to the most in your job?
Yeah, you definitely know the answer to this question.
The branding, the marketing.
Yeah, I'm a branding and marketing person. I consider myself a creative by trade. And so for me, it's really just the experience of building a brand and telling a story and creating a lifestyle that's more approachable. I think that's more fun and inclusive and community minded. It's been so wonderful just to kind of have that experience through a cocktail and through a bourbon that I can bring that to life. So that's been the most fun for me by far.
How do you prevent people from 21 like sharing your stuff on Instagram? I mean, can you really, because I know that's like a thing, like you have to be 21 to follow or share. Obviously it's pretty hard to regulate that, but how do you do it? How do you know if like someone who's 19 or 20 shares your post because it looks cool? How do you know?
Yeah, we have age gates on ours, and we have 21 plus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
21 plus in our bio and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I mean,
those are like the weird things that you have to keep up with when you're an alcohol company, which I think is so unique, and it's such a challenge with social. We run, like even with Vintage Wine 100, when we're running ads or for any of our clients that sell alcohol or anything, it becomes such a pain to navigate through Facebook because you have to make sure that you're compliant with all their rules, but then also with not just their advertising policies, but just like their organic policies as well. It's really a pain that I don't think anyone thinks of, but I deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, how has because you were talking about the music industry earlier and you were like, I love kind of supporting female artists. Like what does that look like for you? Like, have you tapped into that kind of niche here, or like how is that integrated?
Yeah, so we've actually decided to make that kind of a pillar of the Happenstance brand, is supporting local artists and the Nashville community. I mean, we can't call Nashville home and not have some involvement in Music City.
Right.
And so we, hope to at some point in our journey have a space of our own where, we can bring in some of those artists and have them perform and showcase their talents in another arena. That's kind of the dream and what we're working towards. But really right now it's just been collaborating and supporting. When we do events, we'll bring in local artists and have them perform and or trying to get behind some of their shows or things like that. So I had an artist the other day reach out on Instagram, and it made my day. So if you're listening, she knows who she is. But she reached out and she told me, she was like, well, I started this tradition where I take a shot of Happenstance before every show.
Oh, cool.
And oh my God, that just made my day. And she was like, it started back in February and it just became a thing. And now it's my good luck charm. I have to take a shot of Happenstance before every show. So it's moments like that as a founder when you're starting a business and you hear that people are loving it the way that you do. It's pretty cool.
That's really cool. And I used to, a long time ago, play music and play in bars in Nashville. And I remember we would always say, like, we did like a writer's round, that like taking a shot of bourbon or whiskey would really make your voice sound better, which we would do. And I don't know if you've heard that, like, or if that's just like a weird musician thing where you're really just trying to get a buzz before you play. But we would do it. Like, we would always, like, it would probably be Jack Daniels or whatever was the cheapest.
Well, now we got to make it Happenstance.
Now we've got to make it Happenstance.
We're starting the new trend.
Well, I like that because it goes back to the brand that you've created just through like Instagram and your website and the logo, like all of it. That's it, is that sense of community. and just kind of like a warmth. And I love how you did the shoot at Urban Cowboy, because that is very much the vibe at that bar. It's very much just like a fun hang, you know?
Yeah, we want that. I mean, that's, again, like, to go back, it's so cliche, but whiskey is really about bringing people together. And
Right.
our tagline is celebrating life's moments that happen by chance. So that's a happenstance thing. But really, I mean, I feel like I'm in Nashville by chance. I feel like I started this company by chance, and so many wonderful things have come out of it. So we really want to kind of bring that to our community as well and say, hey, you know, you can, sharing a drink with someone, who knows what's going to happen? You might have some cool opportunity that comes from it. And so we embrace that.
What would because this is an entrepreneurship podcast, marketing forward podcast, but a lot of our audience has recently started a business. So what is your advice to someone who has a startup, but really wants to get it off the ground?
That's a really great question. There's so many things. But the number one thing I would say, keep going. Keep going. Just believe in yourself, and you're not going to be for everyone. Whatever you're doing, there's going to be someone who doesn't like it, but really find out who your audience is that does like it and speak to them and really lean into them. I think that's kind of the key to success, is just, you got to keep going.
And believe in yourself.
Believing in yourself is so important. It's so cheesy.
If you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to. And that's just the truth.
It's the truth. And it's, I think a lot of businesses never get off the ground because people are too scared to do it. So I think you just got to take the risk and just say, hey, you know what? I've got one life. I'm going to take a shot, and no pun intended. And if people, you know, don't like it, great. At the end of the day, am I happy? Am I doing what I love? Am I doing something that I think gives back and makes an impact in the world? If the answer is yes, then great. Keep going and just do it.
And the difference, I think, though, between people that don't get it off the ground, that have the idea, maybe have the passion, is the execution piece.
Yeah.
And everyone we've had on this show, the common thread is execution. You
just got to do it.
You just have to do it. And yes, that means, like you were saying, it's a 7-day-a-week job. It's a 24.
Oh, it's nonstop. I don't think people realize. So, I mean, I want to give affirmation to our listeners that it's not, doesn't mean it's easy being an entrepreneur. It doesn't mean that, you know, you get to live this life of the perceived influencer where you're working from Bali and, you know, it's not always as glamorous as it looks from the outside looking in. But I think it's, you just got to take the risk and jump off the edge and see what happens.
Yeah. And I think, too, you got to eat a lot of shit because you have the days where you're at the Urban Cowboy and you're directing this incredible photo shoot. And I'm sure that was a really hard day, and I don't mean to make it sound like it wasn't, but there's those days where you're from Instagram, it looks like you're
creating life,
glamorous job ever, but then it's like the other 95% that people maybe don't see on through the Happenstance Instagram. It's like you up at midnight, you know, in your pajamas on your computer, just like trying to get things done, and the taxes and the God, I can't even imagine just the finance stuff with an alcohol brand.
Legality.
There's a lot. Yeah, no, but it's true. The Urban Cowboy shoot was really fun, and we had such a great time. And I have to give credit to, you know, the team that helped me bring it all together. I had an amazing videographer and photographer and cast that, you know, modeled for the shoot. So it obviously wouldn't have been what it was without them. But it was me sitting there. I had no budget. I had no money. And I packed up my closet and threw 2 suitcases together. And I'm literally sitting in the back of Urban Cowboy, calling all over the models, being like, hey, what size are you? Here, this will fit. Throwing this on, styling it on the fly.
Amazing.
And it was literally my closet.
That's
wow.
so cool.
And everyone always thinks I hired an agency to do that.
Yeah.
It's just, it's...
I totally did. I actually was going to ask you, like, before we started recording, like, what agency is representing you? And you don't have one.
I don't have one.
Wow.
It's all me.
So
Yeah.
great.
So I think, to your point, Instagram, perception's reality.
Totally.
So I think people think it's always, wow, they have such a big budget, they can do this. But it's not. It's leaning into your talents and what you love. And for me, that's what I love. And I love to create and do things like that. So for me, it was hard and challenging, and I had to bootstrap it, but it was fun.
Yeah.
So
and you leaned into your talents again.
And I leaned
you were
into
like,
it.
I know I can cut literally thousands of dollars by not having someone style these girls, by not having someone I'm sure you did like a vision board of the shoot and aesthetic and everything like that. And that, again, that goes into, I mean, we quote out for things like that, and it's a lot of money. It's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time.
But
yeah,
I think
do it
that's
all
key.
myself.
Bootstrap. Do
Yep.
as much as you can, especially in the early stages. And I think that your brand will end up thanking you for that, because that vision was so perfectly nailed, because it was 100% yours, and you were able to have that creative control, which I always think, like, you know, not all entrepreneurs are super creative, but if you are, lean into that.
Yeah, and then when you get to the point too, if you are ever going to outsource to an agency or in-house marketing, whenever that gets developed and you're heading it up, it's the foundation's laid out. You know exactly what you want, which that to us, like when we work with clients that know that, it makes our job a lot easier to collaborate and put their content together versus them going like, I don't know, like the brand's got this, it's got that, we're all over here. Then we have to come in and nail the vision down, and then they're like, oh, I like that, and then a month later they're like, what if we do it this way? And it makes it so confusing and challenging. But for you to know exactly what you want out of it this early on is really, really good.
I think that's a really good point that you make, is you have to be really clear and consistent on what you want in your brand and what your messaging is, and what your color palette is.
Yeah.
I think is so important, and what fonts are you using, and what does your logo look like, and all of that. And that takes time. I think people think, oh, I'm just going to have this idea and it's going to be a brand overnight. Oh my gosh, I was cleaning out an old brand folder the other day, and I found the original logos for the brand, and they were horrible.
Oh.
So it really has evolved over
Yeah.
time, and you really have to just try different things and see what works, and it will come together. But you got to be patient with yourself too.
Right.
I mean, it's not going to happen overnight, and there's a lot to choose from, and there's a lot that goes into making a brand.
There's so much.
It's going to take time, and it's going to evolve and change, and
Yeah.
as the brand grows, the story's going to grow and expand and all that.
Yeah, you're still so new, and I think you did a great thing by coming out of the gate really strong with your brand and your logo, because I think it can be hard to rebrand a logo than it is maybe changing up potential colors or even fonts or things that are used within the brand. But I think you nailed it when you said evolve. Like, a brand is about evolution, and a brand is never going to just be one concrete thing. It's always going to evolve. You look at the most iconic brands, you look at Coca-Cola, you look at Budweiser. They've evolved so much, but they haven't alienated themselves, too much.
You got to look at what you're doing too. Like, at the end of the day, you're creating a business because you're looking to change something. There's a gap in a market, or you're looking to change the way people think about something, or whatever it is. So you have to be open to evolution and innovation. And those brands that aren't, they never work at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I also think too, like, for anyone that's developing a brand out there, when you're at the beginning of it, yeah, you got to think about fonts and logos and color palettes and all that, but also think about who out there already in business shares your mission.
Right.
And who are brands that would be good to align with. So we just did an event last week with Rachel Zoe's Curateur brand, and we felt like that was a really great brand alignment for us, because they're very fashion forward, and they're in an industry where design is prominent, and that's a passion of mine. So it just felt like a good alignment of audiences and kind of what we're going for and who we are as a brand and whatnot.
I love that you just brought that collaboration up, because I think that is one of our biggest tips that I challenge our team to say to because they're all managing accounts and businesses. And I'm like, what is another business that is doing something very similar, that's not a competitor, that reaches a very similar demographic, and how can we position our brand in front of them? What can we do on the collaboration side of things? And I think in marketing, we get a little caught up in influencer marketing sometimes, which influencer marketing is great and incredible, and it's a service we offer here, but I'm like taking it a step further. What is another brand? What is another company? So that seems like a really appropriate pairing that you just did, and I'm sure it was really successful.
It was so fun. Yeah, we did their whole bar for the event, and we had a little whiskey pop up and some cute branding for Happenstance. It's on our Instagram, so go check it out if you're online. But it was really fun. So
it's cool.
We hope to do more things like that in the future.
Cool.
I love those brand collaborations. I'm really curious, like, what was your first sell, or who did you sell to? Your first bottle was a liquor store, or?
Oh shoot, that's a great question.
Throwing it all the way back. You don't remember the first bottle sold? That's massive.
First bottle. So, well, okay, so I remember our first big account.
Okay.
I remember the first time I ordered it, and I remember our first big account where we had a really big order. So shout out to Craft Brewed that took over in Melrose area.
Yeah.
That took a chance on us.
I love it.
And they kept calling my distributor being like, everyone keeps coming in and asking for this happenstance.
That's
What is
awesome.
this? We've never even heard of it. And I think at that point I had been out for maybe 1 week. So of course they haven't heard of it. No one's heard of it.
No one has.
But,
That's great.
you know, word got around locally and people were coming in and asking for it. And so they put in a big order and really kind of got us going. So I appreciate them.
That's awesome.
And then my first order, when I got to actually drink it at the bar, I think it was St. Stephen in Germantown.
Oh wow.
And I
Okay.
walked in and I don't think I knew they had picked it up. And I sat at the bar and I was with a friend and I was like, wait, we're about to order my whiskey.
That's so cool.
And
cool.
so that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
A pretty fun moment where you
I love
finally
that.
can, order something that you've created. And you see it on the back bar and other people can order it too. So
That's so awesome. And I feel like it just blends
Yeah.
right in. I mean, not in a way that it doesn't stand out, because it does, but I feel like it just, at a Nashville bar, it just looks like it makes sense. And it's so cool. And I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
thank you. It's been so fun.
That's
I
great.
really am happy to be doing this, and I wouldn't want to be doing anything else despite, how challenging and competitive of an industry it is. It's still so fun at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's
and that's
awesome.
how you know you're in the right seat, that you're having fun, even though it's stressful. And that is key. I mean, you do at the end of the day have to be like, am I still enjoying this? And if the answer is yes, even if you've had the worst day ever,
Yeah.
you know that you're, doing the right thing. Well, Paige, thank you so much for coming on the Renaissance podcast. You are a true Renaissance woman. I mean, I just think that your story is incredible. I think you're so bold. You moved here alone. You created this incredible big brand that is just, I feel very lucky that we have you on the show, because I feel like in a year, everyone's like, you're going to be unreachable.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're,
so
you're already
sweet.
a little
Thank you for
untouchable,
having me.
because I can't
No.
find you on Instagram, just you. Had to go through your business account to stalk you. But, well, where can everyone find you? Where can, name a couple places where people can pick this up locally too?
Yeah, so the best way is to go on to our website. We have a Find Us map that has all the accounts that we're in currently updated, so you can order it there. We're at most major liquor stores in Nashville proper, only available in Nashville at this point in time. So if you're outside of Nashville, I'm sorry, come to Nashville to try
I love
it.
it.
Yeah, just come. Who doesn't want to come to Nashville?
It's
Yeah.
that good.
Or you can follow us on Instagram. We make all our announcements there about events we're doing in town and where you can find us next. So at Happenstance Whiskey, and then the website is happenstancewhiskey.com.
Amazing.
Great.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you
Really
for having
appreciate
me.
Thank
This
you
was
so
so
much.
fun.
Oh, it's so good.
Let's do a cocktail in 2 weeks when I
Yeah.
have this child.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to no longer being pregnant. All right. Thanks so much, Paige.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Paige.